Welcome back to the Compassionate Capitalist Show. We're going to get back into a topic that really is for our audience that is always striving, whether you're an investor or an entrepreneur, you're striving to figure out how to improve your customer engagement, your profitability, and your and the whole general operations that ultimately allow you to scale your business and get to a point that you can sell it for a big return. And now the founders of the company and the investors in the company all want that, right? But sometimes there's things that just sort of happens. Of course, we're going to be talking about software today. So it's about when to build or buy your software, that decision. But sometimes there's this thing where, you hear this adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, that's really not a good strategy. That's chicken putting their head in the ground strategy kind of a thing. Because not fixing something in your business could mean that it might take 2 days longer to process a transaction than it needs to, or 5 days longer for a decision or request to get handled internally. It could mean that your billing system takes 48 hours longer to get triggered after a contract is closed or a service is completed, or order processing and inventory management takes too long, and so it's hard for forecasting and better delivery. All of these things, all of these aspects of business affect your customers' experience and ultimately your profitability and scalability. And my guest today, who, if you're watching the video, he's waiting patiently to be introduced. AJ Aluthwala. Did I say that last name right?
You did right.
Okay, good. He is the co-founder of KallistoArt and ElleApps, which we are going to talk in great detail about. One of the things I got off of AJ's website was talking about the courage, the business leader's courage. And I totally agree. It takes courage to make a bold choice to transform your brand, your product, or service to the next level by venturing into automating a manual process or figuring out how to use a mobile app or a web integrated mobile app to improve your customer experience with your customers and ultimately improve your operations. And so we are going to get into that. He's got 8 things that he's going to talk about on the impact that this can have on your business, as well as give us some specific examples of things that he's done to transform some of his clients' business. But I want to tell you the reason why AJ, besides all the stuff he's going to tell you right now, and he has a free gift for you too, but let me tell you about it. He is a specialist in discovering and planning and executing customized online marketing strategies for businesses to attract massive amounts of online traffic. He has worked with over 200 companies around the country and with businesses in places all over, including Dubai. Given the massive success of KallistoArt, AJ launched ElleApps in 2021, a mobile app development company, and is currently serving clients from coast to coast. As a result of AJ's deep reach within local business community, lives down in Tampa with his family. KallistoArt became the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce 2020 Small Business of the Year award recipient. And AJ gives back to the community through his nonprofits such as Project Pop Drop, Upper Tampa Bay Education Foundation, and Oldsmar Cares. So welcome to the Compassionate Capitalist Show, AJ.
Thank you, Karen. Really happy to be here.
I'm very happy to be here. And just so our audience knows, we were introduced through another guest that was on the show for the book Exit Rich. That's right, Michelle. And she's going to be back on the show here in a little while. So I was delighted. They're in a mastermind group, but I was delighted that she referred him to me so that we could have this conversation and he could share his incredible insights with our audience today, because I think this is one of those things where people really struggle with, I feel like I should do this. Is there an app out there? They could spend so much time researching and doing this and trying to find an app that will do it, and because they think to develop an app is going to be too expensive, So we're going to dive into that. But AJ, I got a question for you. Have you always been an entrepreneur that was solving customers' problems, or did you have some experience as a software developer in an organization and then took your bold step to go out on your own?
Absolutely, Karen. So yes, when I first graduated, long time ago with my bachelor's in IT, I did what everyone else does. I found a job at a company, working, it was a software company, and I just, started working there. And I soon realized that, this is not what I'm absolutely passionate about. I soon realized that this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life, just being stuck in a corner, in a cubicle, coding my life, like coding away, right? So then I thought that, okay, I got to do something else. I got to switch gears a little bit. And that's when I did a MBA and majored in marketing. And that's kind of, how KallistoArt was born. And right while I was doing my MBA at Wichita State, I started KallistoArt. And then for a long time, we've been creating apps for I would say, 5-6 years now. But we always operated under the KallistoArt umbrella. So recently we thought that, when I say recently, last year, we thought that, we'll switch gears a little bit, and we'll come up with a new brand called ElleApps, where it's just geared towards mobile app and web app development. We didn't want to have brand confusion when you have too many things under the same umbrella.
Sure.
Because KallistoArt was originated as a website development company. So we still create websites. We still do search engine optimization for our clients. We still manage their Google ad campaigns. However, we didn't want to do the mobile app and web app development under the KallistoArt umbrella. And that's when we started ElleApps as a separate brand.
Yeah, because particularly if they're using an app that's customer facing, right, and it's sort of like a launch of a new way of doing business, then it's important to have all of that, the web world, you know what I mean? And all of that. So it's great because, otherwise, if a customer, it's kind of like a one-stop shop. Otherwise, a customer does that, and then they're like, well, I got this app, but nobody still doesn't know I'm here, right? So they can have you help them solve both of those, so to ensure their success when they're trying to relaunch this, or launch a new part of their business or a new way to engage with their customers.
Right. Yeah. So branding is important, right? So as an app developer, that I guess, that's something which kind of differentiates us as well. We come from the branding background, right? So if you just, go out and look for an app developer, that guy or girl or the company whom you hired might be great at just coding something out for you, but it can be very clunky to use, right?
Yeah.
Because because their brain just works from a technical perspective rather than from a branding perspective. How does something gets communicated for non-techie people? So that's the background we bring to the table, because we are still a web development company. So we have that branding exposure, the background, the experience of 16 odd years, which we bring to the web development, the app development world when we engage in an app. I think, Karen, the best thing we should do is, maybe talk a little bit about, why would someone need an app, right?
Yeah, sure.
Because a lot of people think, oh yeah, my business needs an app. And I actually get people asking me, okay, I want to build an app. And I ask them, are you sure? Like, do you really want to? Who came up with that idea?
Yeah.
And usually it's them. They came up with that idea.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like, that joke where it's like, well, there's got to be an app for that, right? So,
yeah,
and it's like, well, everybody seems to have a mobile app, so I must have a mobile app.
Right.
I don't know what it's going to do for my customers or my business, but got to have a mobile app, right?
Right.
So,
so I say wrong. The answer is wrong. That's not the answer. Does your users need an app? Do they need an app for the products and the services that you have to offer? Have they communicate something like that you, or have they nudged you about something like that, or have someone shared with you that if you had an app in your organization, this would make your life a little better, right? So there are 8 things which we have put together in terms of when you are going through that thinking, to think about, these 8 things, to see whether these are some points which you can hit, or like, check off. And if they do, or if you see majority of these points being checked off, then you should really think about, okay, there might be an opportunity for me to actually get an app. So
so those are your 8 things. Yeah, let's run through those 8 things, and then we'll go into the whole scoping it and figuring it out. To set the stage for those that are listening, if any of these 8 things say to you, you're like, yeah, that's something that I've been struggling with, or my sales reps have been telling me that's an issue, or my back office, like I was talking about, billing, whether it's billing, processing, or inventory management, distribution, delivery, things like that. If they're saying we get a lot of complaints about this, or if we could do this much, we could figure out a way to do this a different way, then we would, so you listener, dear gentle listener, if in your head, when AJ goes through these 8 items, or these 8 triggers, and you say, yes, oh, right, oh, okay. If you have any kind of that kind of reaction, then stay tuned, because we're going to get into what do you have to think about before, during, and after, and sort of figuring out how to make all of that happen. So go ahead, take it away, AJ.
All right, very good, Karen. So I would say the number 1 thing is the customer experience, right? As you know, we live in a world where when we get up in the morning, people just gravitate towards their phone, right? Like that's like the first thing they pull up and see whether they have any notifications. Push notifications obviously have their place, or has its place. So you can really create a value proposition about your consumer experience. So that's number 1 when you have an app for your business. Number 2 is then strengthening your brand recognition, right? Think of an app as another channel which you can utilize to improve your branding, right? You might have the website, you might have some flyers which you send out, you might have cold calling you would do using your sales team, you might have all kinds of radio ads, TV ads which you run. But an app, when you have that becomes another branding element, whether it's the colors, the logos, how you do business, that all gets communicated to your customers through your app. Then engaging with your customers quickly and easily, that's the 3rd point. Again, in this day and age, people want things real quick, right? They want to get in touch with you quickly, and they want their problems solved really quickly. So if you have an app, then you can use that app's capabilities to solve the problems by the consumers themselves, right? Back in the day, if you had a problem with an order, what do you have to do? You have to have the consumer give you a call, speak to someone over the phone. They'll take down notes about the order, then maybe talk to the shipping department, get that all taken care of. But now if I want to cancel my budget rental car reservation, all I have to do is just go to the app and just say cancel reservation, and I've canceled my reservation, right? I didn't have to spend any time being on a phone call, talking to people and trying to explain why I'm canceling. None of that, right? You can just hit cancel and it'll obviously ask for a confirmation, and you'll say yes, and you cancel your reservation. Things like that, which has been made really easy because you can get a lot of things done through the app. And the 4th item is increasing customer loyalty. If you can get information out to your fingertips, to your consumers' fingertips, they are going to be very loyal to be doing business with you. I'll be the first to say I am ordering stuff on Amazon almost on a daily basis.
Just thinking about that. I was just thinking
Right?
about Amazon. As much as people like to complain sometimes about Amazon and how ubiquitous they are, it's so easy to do business with them and return stuff and check on stuff. And as you were going through some of these points, I'm thinking it's the thing to think about an app is that it's not just your website on the phone. It's taking what is the reason why somebody would do something in their phone and getting those things. So it's not everything that's on your website. It's the things that they're going to want to do when they're doing it through their mobility. Right. And so that's where, because it's easy, and like in your number 5, right, it's customer surface for instant gratification, because that's the thing that they want to do. They want to, you know, I can check the status of an order. I can, you know, initiate a return. I can, you know, check out things that I bought before, I've been looking for, or whatever. And so, I had my aha moment there.
Yeah, all these points are actually interlinked, right? So you increase your customer loyalty, then the instant gratification is there, right? Then when you provide unique functions, this is this is not the sixth, the sixth one. The fifth one is improving customer service for instant gratification, which is the Amazon experience, which we talked about. Then providing unique functions and features consumers love, which is, if we go back to that Amazon experience or Amazon app, they came up with that one-click buy button. You can just hit buy and boom, you bought it, right? So now, I mean, like, if you think about it, back in the day with any app or with any website, even now, you got to go through so many steps to buy a product, right? But they have made it, once you set it up once, you can just hit the buy now with one click, and you buy it like that. So because you have already set up what's the payment which you're going to use, what's the address it's going to get shipped out to, what's your billing address, that all is already in there, right?
Well, that's like that's your number 6, unique functions and features that consumers love, right? Because you think about it, there's some apps that I'd rather use the mobile app than the online one, right?
Yeah.
And we'll get into one of your customer examples, but like with Zillow, that's the thing that was, it's a lot easier to actually find a house. Like if you're out looking and you want to see that on the mobile app than it is to go into their web app to find out, to find out what going on with a certain house or something like that. Because some apps just, they understand that, a lot of times where their customers are, right? If you understand, which I'm sorry to steal your thunder here, but it's like, it's unique features. And then your number 7, sort of, because Amazon's had over a decade to be evolving and understanding what their customers want and get better and better and better at it, which I think will lead into our discussion when we start talking about, an evolution of how you do an app when somebody decides to start automating some of these functions. So I'll go ahead and finish up your list.
No, absolutely. So number 7 is, you can discover consumer trends and feedback and insights, not just about the app itself, but about your business, right? So you can have surveys and things like that built into the app where it gives you feedback about the way you do business, right? Because a lot of people, we are not in touch with the pulse of our business. We think we are, from what we think that the business is doing, and how even employees perceive the business. But if we can get that feedback from the outside world, it's going to be the true feedback which we all need in our lives, because we all kind of operate in our own like made up, la la land sometimes, right? But we don't know what's true and what's not. So your app can have the ability to give you a lot of feedback and insights into the buying patterns, the buying experiences, the returns, just maybe, complaints, how all those are handled within the app. And the eighth one is you can basically give a good run for the money to your competitors because you have a very powerful marketing tool. Going back to that Amazon experience, Amazon app, Walmart and Amazon, when they were, or when I would say Amazon was smaller than Walmart back in the day, Walmart really did not take any real kind of, they didn't really pay attention, right? To Amazon. They were like, yeah, book company, they were selling books. But what Amazon kept on doing was they built their tech, and to a certain extent, they even became bigger than Walmart, right? Without having any stores at all, no brick and mortar stores. So it's very interesting, the evolution of that company. So I just want to bring these 8 points out for you to think about, for you listeners to think about, do you really need an app? These seems to be all great for certain businesses, might not be a good fit for your business or for where you are in your business right now. So if I can just, quickly run through those 8, adding value to your customer experience, strengthening the brand recognition, engaging with consumers quickly and easily, increasing customer loyalty, improving customer service, 4, instant gratification, providing unique functions and features consumers love, discovering consumer trends, feedback and insights, and then you edge out your competition with a powerful marketing tool, which is going to be this app. So just think about those 8 things. If you think that, you can check most of those 8 things, then you might benefit. And you, when I say you, your business might benefit from having an app.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. And I was thinking about like, what apps do I use that I recommend to people on a regular basis, right? Yeah. One is a recipe app. So I was thinking like they must have checked that spot because their web environment's okay, and I can get the stuff, and sometimes it's easier to print recipes if I'm going to print a recipe, right. But it's called Yumly, and I love that app, right? Because it saves me having to go search all different kinds of recipe sites, because they basically are an aggregator. Right. And their app, and you can create your own list, you can create a grocery list, and they got upsell features that they offer within the app, and videos, right. And, things like that you can do, that they've enhanced it over time. But, it's just for people out there that like to dream about cooking and like inventing new dishes or finding something, and and it's amazing to me how many people don't know about it when I say, oh yeah, I used Yumly, and they're like, what's Yumly? Yeah. So anyhow, but that was, I can see this as you're sharing this, I can see how companies that I have been a good consumer of, or an engaged consumer of, and part of the reason why, all the things you just said, the brand that I know, my customer loyalty, these different things, is because of the way that app, and I wanted the way that app has engaged me, the way they've used it. And I wanted to focus our conversation more on existing companies and startups that have an idea about an app, because I think it's really important to kind of be in that bridge. Somebody may have gotten started with an app that they were doing, or some kind of unique web environment and customer engagement, and they start to find themselves stalling or not, being able to stay up with their competition. And like that example that you gave earlier before we started the recording, if a company that was reselling timeshare properties, and had been doing traditional sort of email marketing, bulletin board stuff, a web portal of here's this. I think about when you go and book vacations and stuff with property managers that aren't through, one of these other apps. There's very similar. It's just like, picture with a little thing and what the thing is, or you scroll. And these guys came to you because they realized they were falling behind their competition. And talk about that decision process and how that came to be, and a little bit about that customer and what happened when they, because that'll lead us into, we want to talk about this, when do you decide, identifying the need, scoping it out, what's the function and benefit, what's the financial benefit to the company, the revenue, the cost versus the reward and the revenue, but also those things that people may not think about. There's additional costs for training and integration. They might have to integrate it with something else. They have to redo something because now it doesn't keep up. It doesn't feed it properly.
Right.
It's old tech and you got new tech. And so there may be some, everybody wants, they don't want to know. The biggest fear, and I think this is where the courage question comes from at the very beginning, is that I'm going to start on this thing and it's going to be like that movie, The Money Pit. It's like, I get this right. It doesn't really do what I do. And then I got to spend more money and do this. And they're like, oh my God, I wish I hadn't tried to fix this problem. So talk about that customer and how they flushed through all these things and how you help them.
Yeah, absolutely. So this customer, their business, is they sell timeshare properties, right? Or they actually resell timeshare properties. So if we just talk a little bit about that space, so someone can go and buy timeshares for a certain number of points, right? Which you pay for, and with those points, you can own a timeshare property. Now, when you have timeshare property for a while and you don't want to own it anymore, then you can sell it to someone else who might be interested in buying that property or taking it over from you. So in this case, the company whom we helped out, they were doing it the traditional way. When they have a customer or have a property which they want to sell, they will do it through the traditional way of email marketing or flyers in the area, or they'll send postcards. If you really think about what the realtors do in this world, the traditional marketing, this is what these guys were doing. But when it comes to timeshare, it's not a marketing method. The traditional ways they don't really pan out the way they should, because typically in timeshare business, you don't buy in the area you live. You live in a area, let's say it's snowing all the time, and you want to come and buy a property in Florida or in Arizona or Nevada, right? So your customers might be all over the world, all over the place, even within the United States. So what we did was we created an app which has push notifications whenever a property comes on board or a new property becomes available, depending on the criteria which you have set, just like in Zillow to buy a property, the number of rooms, the number of bathrooms, the number of this and that, you get a notification saying that this particular property is available for this many points, because the way the timeshare works. So then you can then get in touch with that company, see whether you can do a deal, and if it's something lucrative, then you do a deal. And now after this app has been released, their whole business process has changed, where the sales team basically lives by this app, the features which are offered by this app, and we keep on adding more and more features. And for any reason, if the app goes down, it's like they basically have lost their lifeline, right? So it's very crucial from our perspective to keep almost 100% uptime. We say that we try to keep 99.9 uptime, and there are certain times where for whatever reason the app goes down as well, but we quickly get it fixed up. And most of the time, it happens when there are too many requests, because everyone wants to, all these users wants to jump on a property and get it quickly than or snag it quickly than someone else. So this is what happens to apps which are performing really great, which are really creating utility for its users, right? They all want to get a piece of it, and they want to be the first to, especially when it's a property, they all want to, get it first. So
Interesting.
so that's kind of the story about that particular client. And I think, we can use that to segue into, when you have an idea for an app, or when you think your clients needs an app, what's that process like in terms of, what do I build? What's the money? What's the money for this app? What's the timeline for this? What happens after I build it? What happens after I launch it? What happens when I get, say, 1,000 users, right? These are all the questions a lot of people who do not have an app would like to get answered. So let's kind of, go through that process, one by one. So let's talk about coming up with the idea. So you have an idea, and then you talk to an app developer like us, and we can say two things. We can say, yes, that's a great idea. Let's scope it out and let's start building. Or we can say, from what we have seen from our experience, we think you can get to the minimum viable product, or which we call the MVP version, by having only these features in that scope, right? And we always say that, let's build the minimum viable product. So that way we are going to basically create the proof of concept for you in a quick time, and without spending a whole bunch of money, and then maybe even waste of resources. If you have spent all your time, your team's time and effort, and you build this app, and then for some reason in a year you think that, oh, this is not what I want to do, then you have really wasted your resources, whether it's time, money, and just effort, right? So
well, that's the big risk. That's that fear factor that people have, that they're going to spend a bunch of time and money on something and resources and attention away from another piece of their business in order to get this done. So does an MVP, because I know, let me take a moment and tell folks, because we've got just about 5 or 6 minutes left, so I don't want to run out of time here, but AJ has offered up, he's got a free gift, which is at ElleApps.com. That's ElleApps.com. There's a button up there that says free gift. What is that white paper? Because you're kind of talking about that now, I think. So
that white paper is all about, what to look for when you are selecting a mobile app developer for your next app development project. So there'll be a few points which you can kind of go through and figure out, how to select an app developer.
Yeah, because that's the thing. What you want is like what you're doing, where you're going to, if the customer wants, or the company wants this number one thing I want my app to be able to do. Okay, so let's create a MVP, a minimal viable product, that does that piece.
Yeah.
And see, does it accomplish what you want it to accomplish within that one big thing? And then the answer is yes. Then let's figure out how it's going to impact the rest of your business, so you kind of know what some of your other resource costs and financial costs are going to be for we build out like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
Right.
And what kind of time is going to be needed by different people in different departments to, be a part of this, and figuring all that out. So by the time they get ready to really get in and commit real dollars, they have to pay for that scope work and that stuff. But by the time they get into doing the real development, they should have a comfort level that it's going to be done in the way that they expect, no surprises, and the outcome is going to be, and the benefits are going to be what they, in effect, mutually agree to with you. Because they don't, I always have an issue when I'm getting things developed or worked on, is like, I don't know what I don't know. And so my question isn't like, can I do this? Well, yeah, you can, but should I do it? Right. And so part of your expertise in picking the right app person is somebody that won't just do it because you can, but will do that feature or function aspect of an app because they should do it.
Right. Yeah. We always share with our potential customers that, let's hear the full story. Let's hear your grand vision. Maybe it's after 10 versions, this is where you want it to be. However, we'll work on that MVP model, and then we will scope out the rest as well. So you have an idea about whether it's time or money or whatever, you have an idea about what it's going to be for that grand vision. But we can tell them upfront that, okay, you really need these 5 features to get started with, and you can start making money. Now, the thing about apps is, when the apps are making money for the business, it's very easy to invest in version 2, 3, 4, 5. That it's that first version which is hard to kind of swallow. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether this is going to be a good fit for the business or whether I'm going to make money out of it or not, right? But once you start seeing money pouring in from that first version, then it's very easy to invest in the subsequent versions.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always want to make sure with the time that we have left that you. Yeah. Is there anything that you want that you're like, oh yeah, I meant to say this, and wrap it up with a nice little bow? I have my closeout, because I think, one of your, it's like, I took it off your website, build and test to make sure your custom web application is sustainable and meaningful and help you create a bigger and better audience. That's the big picture goal if you're going to go into the process of developing an app to transform your business or transform your customer engagement. What else, AJ? What else have we not talked about?
No, that, I think, that statement, basically, said it, I think that is really the cherry on the top. So what I would say to the listeners is, if you like, get in touch with me, go to aja360.com. Again, that's aja360.com. It'll be in the show notes as well, Karen, right?
Yes.
And then you can connect with me through LinkedIn. My email information, my phone number information, all of that is in there. So feel free to go to aja360.com and click on connect and or contact and get in touch with me. And also, please go to ElleApps.com and click on that free gift, and let me know, what you think about it. Feel free to hit me up on social channels, and I would love to get a conversation going. And Karen, thank you so much for having me on this podcast episode.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a delight, and I'm glad that we've got connected up, and I know about how all that your company offers. And I want to encourage folks as well to please go to KarenRands.co or cougarand.com and learn about how we help entrepreneurs figure these things out when it comes to scaling their business, getting the capital to do it, as well as investors to invest in the companies that can succeed because of the assessment and the analysis work that we do with them, and the breadth of resources we have, like AJ, to solve entrepreneur problems so that they can scale. So when you're getting ready to get involved in investing, if you haven't already gotten Inside Secrets to angelinvesting.com, go to Inside Secrets to angelinvesting.com to get the book, because that will show you how you can share in the success of these entrepreneurs without all the risk of being an entrepreneur. And with that, I say onwards and upwards. Thank you so much, AJ. This has been a delight, and I'm certain that our audience has enjoyed it. Please share this podcast episode with companies that are in this midst of trying to navigate and figure out how to get to the next level with their company, and then get further engaged with their customers, because we talked a lot about all of that today, and it was good.
Thanks again, Karen. I really appreciate it.
All right. Onwards and upwards, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks.
Take care.